The Diplomat's arrival. Commander Elena Reeves gazed through the viewport as Meridian Station came into view. The massive space construct rotated slowly against the backdrop of stars, its countless lights twinkling like an artificial galaxy. 6 enormous docking arms extended outward from a central hub, each as large as a small city. This was the beating heart of galactic politics, home to the Conclave of Worlds, where over 300 species negotiated the fate of thousands of star systems. And now, humanity had finally earned a seat at the table, or rather, a spot at the very back of the room. "First visit to Meridian, Ambassador?" asked the pilot, a 4-armed Ventari with iridescent scales. "Yes," Elena replied simply. At 45, she appeared to be exactly what her credentials claimed, a seasoned diplomat with graying temples and keen brown eyes. Her black formal suit was impeccably pressed, modest, and unremarkable. Nothing about her suggested threat or significance. Precisely as intended. The shuttle docked with a gentle shudder. Elena gathered her single travel case and nodded to the pilot before stepping through the airlock. The station's artificial gravity felt slightly heavier than Earth standard, but she adjusted her stride without hesitation. A tall, willowy alien with pale blue skin awaited her. "Ambassador Reeves of Earth, I am Thelios, your assigned conclave liaison. Please follow me to your assigned quarters." Elena followed Thelios through bustling corridors filled with diverse alien life forms. Many turned to stare at the human, some with undisguised curiosity, others with barely concealed contempt. Humans were newcomers to the galactic stage, having discovered faster-than-light travel only 12 years ago. "Your quarters are in Section E12, Thelios said, leading Elena into a lift. "I apologize, but it is not one of our more prestigious locations." Elena noticed the slight hesitation in Thelios's voice. "I'm sure it will be adequate." The quarters were anything but. A small room with a utilitarian bed, desk, and sanitation unit. The air recyclers hummed loudly, and the lighting flickered intermittently. The space smelled of chemical cleaners and something faintly sulfurous. "This is unacceptable," came a sharp voice from the doorway. Lieutenant Maya Chen, Elena's aide, stood with her arms crossed. Young, brilliant, and fiercely protective of Earth's interests, Maya never hesitated to speak her mind. "Ambassador Reeves represents humanity. These are quarters for maintenance workers, not diplomatic personnel." Thelios's skin darkened to a deeper blue. Embarrassment, Elena surmised. "These assignments come from the Conclave Administrative Board. I have no authority to change them." Elena placed her case on the bed. "It's fine, Maya. We're not here for luxury." After Thelios departed, Maya closed the door. "This is deliberate, Commander. They're testing us, showing us our place in their hierarchy." "Let them," Elena said calmly, unpacking her few belongings. "Underestimation works to our advantage." Maya watched her carefully. She knew parts of Elena's background, more than most, but even she didn't know everything. The first conclave session is tomorrow. The attacks on our outer colonies by the Vex Dominion have escalated, if we don't secure conclave protection. "I know what's at stake," Elena interrupted, moving to the small viewport. For a brief moment, her eyes changed, becoming sharper, more predatory, an expression that had no place on a diplomat's face. That night, as Meridian's environmental systems dimmed to simulate evening, Elena sat alone in her quarters. She removed her jacket and rolled up her sleeves, revealing forearms traced with thin, silvery scars. She closed her eyes and breathed deeply, memories washing over her. The sizzle of plasma fire, the desperate screams of colonists on Proxima B, a Vex warship, its crew eliminated without triggering a single alarm. Just her hands, a combat knife, and absolute silence. "Commander." Maya's voice through the communication panel snapped her back to the present. "I've reviewed the conclave agenda. They've scheduled Earth's petition as the last item." Another slight. Elena slipped back into her diplomatic persona. Get some rest, Lieutenant. Tomorrow will be challenging. After Maya signed off, Alina retrieved a small device from a hidden compartment in her case. She activated it with her thumbprint, opening a secure channel. "Phantom in position," she said quietly. "Proceeding as planned." The voice that responded was equally subdued. "Remember your parameters. Phantom. Diplomatic solutions first." "Understood," Alina replied. "And if diplomacy fails?" There was a pause before the answer came. "Then show them why humanity survived its own violent history." Alina closed the channel and returned to the viewport. Tomorrow she would play the patient, humble diplomat. She would endure their condescension and plead Earth's case, and they would never suspect that beneath her unassuming exterior was the operative once code-named Phantom, the woman who had single-handedly evacuated the new Mars colony under Vex bombardment. The conclave chamber was immense, a soaring space with seats arranged in rising tiers like an ancient amphitheater. Alina sat at a small desk on the lowest level, the space reserved for petitioners and provisional members. Above her, hundreds of alien representatives looked down with expressions ranging from indifference to outright hostility. Maya sat beside her, tablet in hand. "They've moved us up in the agenda," she whispered. "We're fifth now." Alina nodded slightly. The change wasn't out of respect. They simply wanted to address the human matter quickly and move on to what they considered more important business. A massive creature with crystalline features and multiple appendages rose from the central podium. "The conclave recognizes Ambassador Alina Reeves of Earth. You may present your petition." Alina walked calmly to the podium. Her steps were measured, her expression serene despite the weight of countless alien eyes upon her. "Honorable members of the conclave," she began, her voice clear and steady. "Earth comes before you today, seeking protection under Article 4 of the Galactic Charter. The Vex Dominion has attacked 4 of our colonial outposts in the past 60 days. We have lost over 3,000 civilian lives." A murmur of conversation rippled through the chamber as Alina displayed holographic images of devastated human settlements on the large screens. "As the newest member of the galactic community, Earth lacks the fleet capacity to defend our borders adequately. While the Vex attack from multiple vectors, we ask for the protection guaranteed to all conclave members under charter law." A serpentine alien with crimson scales leaned forward from a high seat. "The conclave recognizes Ambassador 6 of the Draconid Imperium." Six's voice was deep and mocking. "These humans come crying to us at the first sign of adversity. Perhaps they should have remained in their primitive solar system if they cannot handle the realities of interstellar politics." Several conclave members laughed openly. Alina's face remained impassive. "The Vex test all the merging species," continued Six. "It is their nature, their evolutionary imperative. If humans are too weak to withstand this testing, perhaps they are too feeble to join our conclave." Alina's expression didn't change, but those watching closely might have noticed her eyes. For just a second, they changed, becoming the eyes of a predator, calculating and cold. "Earth is not requesting charity," Alina replied evenly. "We are asking for the rights promised to all members under the Charter, rights that the Draconid Imperium itself has invoked twice in the past century." Six's scales darkened with anger. "You dare." "I simply state historical fact, Ambassador." Alina's voice remained pleasant. "Earth will contribute our fair share to conclave defense, but we cannot fight the Vex alone while still establishing our interstellar presence." A crystalline being with a melodious voice spoke next. "Ambassador Lyra of the Luminar Collective proposes a compromise. We could offer humans technological advisors to improve their defensive capabilities rather than committing conclave vessels." Alina recognized the empty gesture. "With respect, Ambassador Lyra, technology transfer would require months to implement. Our colonies need protection now." The debate continued for 2 hours. With each dismissal and insult, Alina responded with perfect diplomatic composure. Not once did she raise her voice or display frustration. Finally, the conclave moderator stood. "The petition from Earth will be considered by the Defense Committee. We will reconvene in 3 cycles for a decision. It was a transparent delay tactic. Elena bowed slightly and returned to her seat. Later, in a small station cafeteria, Maya couldn't contain her indignation. They're stalling while our people die. Did you see how 6 looked at us? Like we were insects beneath notice. Elena sipped water calmly. 6 isn't our only problem. Did you notice how Ambassador Lyra and the Vex representative kept exchanging signals? You think they're working together? I think, Elena said quietly, that someone is ensuring our petition fails. The question is why. Thelios appeared at their table, looking nervous. Ambassador, I have disturbing news. Your communication to Earth has been flagged for security review. It won't be transmitted for at least 3 cycles. Elena's expression didn't change, but her hand tightened slightly around her glass. Thank you, Thelios. After the alien left, Maya leaned forward. They're isolating us. Yes, Elena agreed. She stood smoothly. I need you to do something for me. Access the station's shipping manifests from the past month. Look for any unusual patterns. May I ask why, Commander? Elena's eyes hardened. In my experience, when politicians behave this way, they're concealing something, and I suspect whatever they're hiding involves the Vex. That night, alone in her quarters, Elena removed her secure communicator and scanned the room for surveillance devices. Finding 3, she left them active, but moved to the sanitation chamber, where the water's sound would mask her voice. Situation report. Conclave is stalling. Communications monitored. Request permission to implement contingency alpha. The reply came immediately. Permission granted. How far are you willing to go? Elena's reflection in the mirror showed a face very different from the patient diplomat of the day. It was the face of a soldier, a hunter, a survivor. As far as necessary, she replied softly. When Elena returned to her quarters, she discovered the environmental controls had malfunctioned. The temperature had dropped to near freezing, and the oxygen levels were fluctuating dangerously. Not a malfunction. Sabotage. She was halfway through bypassing the compromised systems when her door chimed. Elena quickly pulled her jacket over her work and opened it to find Thelios looking distressed. Ambassador, there's been a security incident. Several delegates have requested your presence in Conference Room 7 immediately. Elena noted the odd hour and Thelios's nervous demeanor. At this time of night, what's the nature of this incident? I was not informed of specifics, only instructed to escort you. A trap, then? Elena smiled pleasantly. Of course. Allow me a moment to make myself presentable. As Thelios waited outside, Elena quickly accessed her hidden compartment, removing a small device that she slipped into her collar. She also retrieved a thin stylus that, with a twist, could transform into something far deadlier. Lead the way, Thelios. The corridors were unusually empty as they walked. When they reached a maintenance section far from the diplomatic quarters, Elena's suspicions were confirmed. This isn't Conference Room 7, she observed calmly. Thelios's skin paled. I'm sorry, Ambassador. They threatened my spawn cluster. Please understand. 4 figures emerged from the shadows. Vex soldiers, their exoskeletons gleaming dully under the emergency lighting. Their mandibles clicked in anticipation. The human diplomat, hissed the leader. Our intelligence indicated you might be problematic. Elena's posture changed subtly. Your intelligence is flawed. I'm simply a diplomat seeking protection for my people. The Vex leader advanced. Humans are expanding too rapidly. Your territories encroach on our planned acquisition zones. The Conclave has agreed not to interfere with our correction of this problem. So the Conclave knows about your attacks on our colonies, Elena said, her voice hardening. They're complicit. Not all members. Just enough to ensure your petition fails. Now you will disappear, an unfortunate accident. Your replacement will be more accommodating. Elena sighed, as if merely inconvenienced. I was hoping to resolve this diplomatically. She moved. To Philios, what happened next seemed impossible. The seemingly unremarkable human diplomat transformed into something else entirely, a blur of precision and lethal grace. Before the Vex leader could activate his weapon, Alina had twisted the stylus in her hand and driven it through a gap in his exoskeleton. The remaining 3 attackers fired, but Alina was no longer where they aimed. She rolled beneath their shots, came up inside the guard of the second attacker, and used his body as a shield against his companion's fire. 2 more Vex soldiers appeared at the corridor junction, weapons raised. Alina flicked her wrist, sending a hidden blade into the throat of one. The other fired wildly, missing as she vaulted over a maintenance console. The firefight lasted less than 30 seconds. When it ended, 6 Vex soldiers lay dead or incapacitated. Alina stood in the center of the carnage, her breathing only slightly elevated, a small cut on her cheek the only evidence she'd been in combat. Philios stared in horrified amazement. What are you?" Alina straightened her jacket, her diplomat's composure returning. Someone who came prepared. She removed a small device from one of the fallen Vex, and someone who now has proof of Conclave complicity in attacks against Earth. She turned to the trembling Araxian. "Now, Philios, we're going to have a very different kind of meeting with the Conclave," the Phantom revealed. The emergency session of the Conclave began in chaos. Representatives shouted over one another as reports of the previous night's violence spread through Meridian Station. 6 Vex soldiers dead, a human diplomat allegedly involved, accusations of conspiracy. Alina Reeves stood calmly at the center of the storm, her posture relaxed despite the hostility directed at her from all sides. Maya Chen sat at their assigned table, her expression revealing nothing of her shock at the night's events. The Conclave moderator, a massive tentacled being called Overwatch, finally established order. "Ambassador Reeves of Earth is called to address these disturbing allegations. You stand accused of murdering Vex diplomatic security personnel in a restricted area of this station. How do you respond?" Alina stepped forward, her movements fluid and controlled. The small cut on her cheek had been sealed, the only visible evidence of combat. "Honorable members of the Conclave," she began, her voice carrying easily through the chamber. "I was lured to a maintenance section by individuals claiming to represent Conclave security. There, I was ambushed by Vex soldiers who explicitly stated their intention to assassinate me. Angry murmurs erupted from the Vex delegation. Their ambassador, a towering figure with a carapace of iridescent black, rose from his seat. Preposterous. The human clearly infiltrated a secure area and attacked our personnel without provocation. We demand her immediate surrender to Vex authorities." Alina smiled slightly. "I anticipated your denial, Ambassador Korvik." She activated a small device, and holographic projections appeared above the chamber floor. "Fortunately, I recorded the entire encounter." The recording played, capturing every detail. The ambush, the Vex leader's admission of attacks on human colonies, and the mention of Conclave complicity. The chamber fell silent as the evidence unfolded before them. "This is a fabrication," Korvik hissed, mandibles clicking in agitation. "Humans are known for their deceptive technologies. The recording has been authenticated by 3 independent AI systems," Alina countered. "But perhaps more compelling is this." She activated another projection, displaying communication logs between certain Conclave members and Vex command ships. These transmissions were sent immediately before each attack on human colonies. They contained detailed information about Earth defense patterns, colony shield frequencies, and patrol schedules. The chamber erupted again, this time with accusations flying between various delegations. Several representatives looked distinctly uncomfortable as their involvement became apparent. Ambassador 6 of the Draconid Imperium rose. "Even if these allegations were true, which I categorically deny, they do not explain how a single human diplomat defeated 6 armed Vex warriors. Unless," his reptilian eyes narrowed, "you are not simply a diplomat." Alina met his gaze steadily. "I am exactly what Earth needed me to be, Ambassador." a representative capable of surviving long enough to expose the truth. Before Six could respond, alarms blared throughout the station. The main viewing screens activated automatically, showing multiple Vex warships dropping out of hyperspace near Meridian. "The Conclave is under attack," shouted a security officer, rushing into the chamber. "Vex boarding parties have breached multiple sectors. They're heading for the Conclave chamber." Panic spread through the assembly. Many representatives rushed for the exits, only to find them sealed by emergency protocols. Elena turned to Maya. "Get to the emergency communication array. Send everything we have to Earth Command." "What about you, Commander?" Maya asked, already moving. "I'll ensure the Conclave sees exactly what humanity brings to the table." Elena removed her formal jacket, revealing a form-fitting undershirt that allowed for greater movement. From concealed pockets, she extracted several small devices that expanded into defensive implements. The Conclave moderator approached her, tentacles writhing in agitation. "Ambassador, what is happening?" "The Vex are eliminating witnesses and evidence," Elena explained, checking the chamber's entry points. "They can't allow proof of their conspiracy to reach Earth or sympathetic Conclave members." "But why attack the entire station?" the moderator asked. "Because they never intended to allow humanity to join the Conclave as equals. We were to be either vassals or victims." Elena handed the moderator a small shield generator. "Stay in the center of the chamber with as many representatives as possible. Activate this when I give the signal." The chamber doors exploded inward. Vex soldiers poured through the breach, weapons blazing. Several Conclave security personnel fell immediately. What happened next would be discussed in whispered conversations throughout the galaxy for decades to come. Ambassador Elena Reeves, the unremarkable human diplomat, transformed before their eyes. She moved with impossible speed and precision, intercepting the first wave of attackers before they could target the gathered representatives. Her movements weren't just trained, they were enhanced, augmented by subtle technologies integrated with natural skill. A Vex soldier fired a plasma burst at her. Elena dodged with millimeter precision, the superheated particles singeing the air where she had stood a fraction of a second earlier. She closed the distance in 2 bounds, disarmed the attacker with a strike to a nerve cluster, and used his weapon to neutralize 2 more soldiers. Ambassador Six watched in stunned silence as the human diplomat, now revealed as something far more dangerous, systematically dismantled a Vex assault team that would have overwhelmed most planetary defense forces. "Activate the shield now," Elena called to the moderator as a second wave of attackers appeared. The shield generator hummed to life, creating a protective bubble around the central podium where most representatives had gathered. Elena remained outside the perimeter, positioning herself between the Vex and the Conclave members. Ambassador Korvik himself entered the chamber, flanked by elite guards. "Phantom," he hissed, using a designation that caused murmurs among the representatives. So the rumors were true. Earth sent their legendary assassin disguised as a diplomat. Elena's expression hardened. "I haven't used that name in years. But yes, before I was Ambassador Reeves, I was Commander Elena Phantom Reeves, Special Operations. The woman who evacuated New Mars under your bombardment. The operative who infiltrated your command ship at Proxima B. The human who killed High Commander Vex there," Korvik snarled. "A debt we intend to collect today." Elena smiled thinly. "You're welcome to try." The elite guards attacked simultaneously, their movements coordinated through neural links. They were the best the Vex Dominion could field, enhanced warriors bred and augmented for combat. They weren't enough. Elena moved like water between lightning strikes, never where the attacks landed, always where the defenders weren't. She used their coordination against them, causing them to impede each other's movements in the confined space. One by one, they fell. Korvik, seeing his guards defeated, drew his ceremonial blade, a vicious curved weapon that hummed with energy. "I will finish this personally." Their duel was brief but spectacular. Korvik possessed strength and reach advantages, but Elena had spent her life overcoming such disparities. She weathered his initial onslaught, redirecting his momentum rather than opposing it directly. When he overextended on a powerful thrust, she slipped inside his guard and struck with precision at neural clusters beneath his carapace. Korvac collapsed, paralyzed but conscious. Elena stood over him, breathing heavily but victorious. "You could kill me," Korvac managed through immobile mandibles. "Why don't you, Phantom?" "Because I'm not just Phantom anymore," Elena replied. "I am Ambassador Reeves of Earth, and we prefer diplomatic solutions when possible." Station security forces, having repelled the other boarding parties, finally reached the conclave chamber. They secured the surviving attackers as the shield was deactivated. Elena addressed the stunned assembly. "Honorable representatives, you have witnessed the lengths to which the Vex Dominion will go to prevent humanity from taking its rightful place among the galactic community. You have also seen what a single human is capable of when defending not just our interests, but yours as well." The conclave moderator approached cautiously. "Ambassador, or should I say Commander, Reeves, these revelations are unprecedented." "My credentials as ambassador are genuine," Elena replied, "as is my diplomatic training." Earth simply ensured their representative could survive long enough to be heard. Ambassador 6, still visibly shaken, found his voice. "The Draconid Imperium withdraws any objection to Earth's petition. We would prefer humanity as allies rather than opponents." One by one, other representatives voiced similar sentiments. The mood in the chamber had transformed completely. Where there had been dismissal and contempt, now there was caution, respect, and in some cases, outright fear. "The conclave will convene an immediate vote on Earth's petition for protection," the moderator announced. "And we will investigate thoroughly the evidence of conspiracy Ambassador Reeves has provided." 3 hours later, Maya found Elena in their quarters, once again dressed in her diplomatic attire, the picture of a composed representative despite the day's violence. "The vote was unanimous," Maya reported, barely containing her excitement. "Full conclave protection for all Earth colonies, effective immediately. And 7 delegations have already requested bilateral meetings to discuss alliance possibilities." Elena nodded. "Fear is a powerful motivator." "It wasn't just fear," Maya countered. "You showed them something they didn't expect, that humans will fight to protect others, not just ourselves. You defended the entire conclave." Elena allowed herself a small smile. "Perhaps. What about the communication array?" "Everything reached Earth Command. The fleet is already mobilizing to secure our border colonies." Maya hesitated. "They're saying you'll be recalled, that your cover is blown." "Perhaps," Elena repeated, gazing out at the stars. "Or perhaps Earth now needs exactly what I've become, a diplomat who can speak softly while carrying a very visible stick." On the secure channel that night, Elena made her report. Mission parameters exceeded. Conclave protection secured. Multiple alliance opportunities emerging. "Collateral damage?" asked the voice. "Minimal. Vex reputation severely compromised. 6 conclave members implicated in conspiracy facing sanctions." "And your cover?" Elena considered the question. "Evolved rather than compromised. The conclave now knows what humanity brings to the table. They'll be more cautious in the future." "Indeed," agreed the voice. "Ambassador Reeves will continue her diplomatic mission. Commander Phantom has served her purpose." Elena closed the channel and stood at the viewport, watching as conclave defense ships took up positions around Meridian Station. For the first time since humanity's emergence onto the galactic stage, they were being treated as equals, perhaps even as something to be reckoned with. Sometimes, Elena reflected, the most effective diplomacy came not from words alone, but from demonstrating exactly why humans had survived their own violent history to reach the stars. The galaxy would remember the lesson.